the Northman actor Alexander Skarsgard spills the beans on the incredibly ridiculous Hollywood culture. And that's like saying water is wet, really.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much of it is because he's Swedish. So maybe he doesn't feel as connected to the culture as, say, someone who is born and raised in Hollywood or just in the United States. Mads Mikkelsen is like the same way. He talks about how he does like American movies, but it's more like it's like a supplemental, like he can make a lot of money doing Hollywood movies and then he goes home and does Danish movies in his home country because he feels like he's more culturally connected to the environment there. And here is just, you get your name out by making movies here, but you can do your passion projects at home. And I'm sure there's different cultures between the US and Sweden, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And that's beyond just, even that's insulting to us as like Americans, like as if Hollywood somehow represents us as a culture in America, which it does not.
God forbid.
I know. So it says, the Northman actor Alexander Skarsgård recently spilled the beans on what he described as the incredibly ridiculous culture in Hollywood. While Skarsgård's comments may not surprise many, it is somewhat refreshing to hear actors criticizing the morally bankrupt culture of Hollywood. Skarsgård's comments came in an interview with the Sunday Times while promoting The Northman, which is getting fantastic reviews, by the way.
Oh, cool.
I would like to go see that.
Ethan Hawke? Nice.
An old-fashioned Viking revenge story is something that we have been sorely lacking.
I haven't seen it, but I want to see Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yep.
I just like her.
It's got Willem Dafoe, who I always call William, even though I know it's Willem. It's also got Bjork in the movie, and I didn't.
No way.
Yeah, it's got
That's
Bjork in the movie.
awesome.
Like I watched the trailer and I was like, is that?
And it's so fitting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
perfect.
But I was like, the first time I saw the trailer, I'm like, am I having a
They
stroke?
got all the Vikings they could in one place.
They found them all.
Yeah,
They,
that's awesome.
Viking princess.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't get what's her name from the show Vikings. I always forget her name,
Yeah,
but she's
true.
great. So it says from there he elaborated, in meetings people are really insecure and eager to please, but it's a strict hierarchy. If people at the top say something is good, people fall in line.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
In a world where you can't full of yes men. It's actually how awful movies get made right now. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them is like, I'm sure like whenever like Kathleen Kennedy greenlights something for Star Wars and they're like, I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea, but no one can really tell her no because she's at the top of the food chain at Lucasfilm. So when they make these changes or they work to really micromanage their directors, there is no one to really tell them off because they hold so much power over the rest of the people. And so how many movies, there have been about 15 times we've done a segment here called Who the Hell Asked for This? Where I talk about nobody in the world actually, my favorite is that they're making a Gumby movie.
Oh, what?
And I'm just like, nope, and it's like an adult Gumby. Like I'm like, unless this is like a weird,
For adults.
Yeah, it's like it's not a cartoon. What? It's like a live action Gumby
that's
movie.
Nightmarish.
Yeah, I was like,
that.
other than somebody who,
He's like looking at me from the end of my bed, like
Right.
other
That's creepy.
Other than somebody looking to
Ew.
intentionally ruin their own day, who the hell would go and watch that?
Right.
Like maybe if you're like really self-hating and you're like, what can I do to ruin my life today? I know, I'll go see the Gumby movie. They're making a live action Barbie movie right now, which I have no idea how they're going to do that.
that would be cute, but they're gonna make it really ideological.
It is. Yep, Margot Robbie's playing Barbie. But remember, you can be a Barbie at all sizes, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Now you can.
You
Get
can.
Lizzo in there.
Yes. Well,
Her
she's
big,
got
beautiful butt.
That's right.
she's got a reality. She's got a reality TV show.
Yeah, I know. Andy wanted to watch it the other night. I was like, no.
Is he trying to tell us something?
No, maybe. I don't know. I'm scared.
Like you better
Like,
go
I
through and
don't
look
watch
through this
that.
phone. Like, is he looking up stuff about
Yeah,
Lizzo on a
what's
regular
going on?
basis?
I don't want to know.
That's one of those
I
things
don't
where
want to know, Brett. I'm good.
I had no idea why people held such disdain for her. Yeah, I mean, other than just being
She's
a pop.
just obnoxious.
She's
That's
obnoxious.
it.
Basically.
And I just, I'll pass on the Lizzo. So it says he didn't stop there. He went on to say, we're back in the article now. It says
Anyway.
he went on to say, also menial, trivial bullshit stuff becomes very important to people. As an actor, the value is placed on how important something is. It can become laughable to me. So
Yeah.
and like. I find it weird that like he's in this culture, like he can't escape it there. Like it's baked into the culture of what they do.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier, you wanted to cover, we didn't end up covering it, about Hollywood homes and the size of the homes they own, which is always my favorite part when they're talking to us about how we need to drive electric cars.
Yeah, give me a break.
And we need to like live cheaper. Or as everyone knows, like during COVID, when they were like, we're all in this together, doing their like live streams from their house, and it's like it's always in like a sunroom with like the most
like
expensive,
a hot tub.
It's like the most
seriously.
expensive looking background you've ever seen, and it's just their living room. Like that's the annoying part. Like we would have to like spend money and time to make a background look that expensive. It's just their camera in their living room, and you're just like, why are you? We're not in this together.
We are not.
We're in the
not on
same storm.
page.
We're not
Yeah.
in the same boat. That
Exactly.
because your boat is encrusted with gold.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do want to say that I do not hold that against them in every respect. I do think that that's a go-to excuse for people to be like, well, they're rich, they have no problems.
No, you still have problems.
They still have problems.
Those people are
They're
very
just
unhappy.
It's just different from what we deal with.
Right, but if
on
you want
daily
a
life.
super nice house, you got to put up with this bullshit like Alexander's talking about.
Yep.
It's the price you pay.
So he said, and for them, and I think for a guy like him, he seems to be very much about the art.
Right.
Like that is like, so you have to sell your soul a little bit in that industry to make, like I said, it was always an inside joke. Like Wes Craven really wanted to make like just a romance, like a romantic movie, and they wouldn't let him because he was so good at making horror movies. So he's like he made like I don't remember what the name of it was. Like he refused to make any of the, like he only made Scream 3. Like he basically gave them an ultimatum, if I remember correctly. It's like, I won't make it unless you let me make this other movie too.
Oh, interesting.
So
Good
it's
for
like
him.
for the people that are about the art, that's got to be hard there, especially if you're from another country and you don't have the type of culture that we have here.
Yeah.
It says, but I don't feel the need to broadcast that with expensive clothes or cars. That radiates an insecurity, he stated. When you see somebody with a $1 million watch, that's peacocking. It feels like they're overcompensating. That's always been weird to me.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
always
look
been
at
true.
Zuckerberg wears like the same thing every day,
Right.
all the time.
Elon
But I
Musk
bet
is-
he's wearing a luxury brand T-shirt.
And he's got like he
Maybe.
never wears the same one twice, most likely.
Yeah.
Like, but for the most part, like for them, like I never understood that either. Driving like a really expensive car, but it's also, this is one of those things where the more you make it, it doesn't feel the same. Like to them, buying a $65,000 or $100,000 car is the way it would feel for somebody who makes middle class income to buy a
$12,000
or
car.
yeah. So it's all relative, but it just
Right.
feels ostentatious to us because we aren't in that tax bracket. But it's a kind of a weird dichotomy.
Yeah, and it's true that the more you make, the easier it becomes to spend your money, and you can find higher quality stuff that'll fit the bill.
Yep. So it says, or then they start to rationalize with just like, like I have to like it'll last longer,
Right,
And
or my
maybe it
time
was-
is valuable.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to talk. The reason I mentioned about the being all about the art is because there was this other article that happened to come up because this movie's coming out. That's why a lot of these pieces he's doing press junkets right now for that movie, and he was talking about how he couldn't get serious roles anymore because couldn't get serious roles because they always want to take his shirt off. So he's the hunky guy. So
That must be so hard.
Poor guy.
we were talking about when we reviewed Peacemaker, and there's a very a funny scene where it's not even funny, it's actually just annoying, where the character of Harcourt, who's like this beautiful blonde woman, is like complaining about how she can't just go to a bar by herself and drink alone. I'm like, then drink. She's like, oh my god, I'm too attractive, all the men are hitting on me. I'm like, so drink alone at your house.
Learn to mix drinks and drink at home.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Well, she's drinking a beer out of a glass bottle. Drink your beer at home.
Well, that's a humble brag, but I feel like
heck.
It is.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely a humble brag. But this is also a thing in Hollywood for women where like, if you're young and you're beautiful, you're cast a certain way. And so this is kind of interesting. Like the women will get all the sympathy when they're like, no, I can no longer get these roles because I'm not 25 anymore. This guy's like, I want the serious roles and nobody will cast me because I'm too good looking.
That's actually really
They say the same thing about like certain women in wrestling. Like you can be beautiful, but too beautiful. Like they only make it to a certain
Interesting.
bracket.
I didn't realize that.
So, yeah, like there's one named Carmela who like literally will not make it past there because one, she's not super great, but the joke is always like it wouldn't matter because when you look that good, you're going to make it to a certain level anyways. But then you kind of hit the wall there
Right.
without the talent. But they'll use that as an excuse to say like I'm being held down because of my looks, which I think is a funny like villain trope of like my looks are holding me back, and it's not because they're ugly, it's because they're too good looking, which is like really mean and rude to say to people like.
Oh, poor thing.
So he goes, I don't know if that was the reason I wasn't getting roles. Skarsgard was candid talking about his inability, that his looks impeded his ability to book more serious roles. I imagine that this would happen to certain women as well. You know, somebody who's like a bleach blonde, extremely beautiful, they're not going to get cast as like I mean, actually they do cast them as scientists if you're on like a CW show,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's why I was like, where can I go where the doctors all look like this?
Right.
And, like, yeah, and your social worker looks like a fitness model. I need to move there.
Yes.
Right. So depending on what your like roles you're going for.
Well, it turns out you'll be typecast based on how
Yeah.
you look, right?
Yeah, and that's
not really surprising.
because stereotypes exist for a reason in a lot of ways. Like
Right.
if you were to pull, you go and take a picture of 100 social workers, they're probably going to all fit within a certain mold, or 100 doctors. It's going to be, and that's why they say like men grow into their roles, because the roles of prominence in movies and stuff for men are like lawyers, doctors, politicians, which
Right.
are all things that you age into, whereas women age out of roles,
Yeah.
and that can be a problem. So he's actually like, maybe he's gonna have to age into the role of being like,
Yeah.
he can stay just as good looking, but he'll age into better work. That's what happened to James Spader.
Yeah.
From The Blacklist. He played Ultron in Age of Ultron, very well-known actor. He was really, really good when he was younger, but he was just too good looking. And now, like, once he like went bald,
That doesn't make sense because it seems like the opposite with Leonardo DiCaprio.
but
He
he
had
was
so many roles when he was younger.
Spader was a TV, long form TV more, so it was a little bit different. They were like, so he was going for lawyer roles even from the beginning, playing more like he was in a show called Boston Legal, and his like looks were just starting to kind of change. But now he's like he's older, and it's almost like he looks like he's better. Like he's better. He was always that good at acting, but it comes off better because it feels deeper somehow because he's not super
more
handsome.
experienced.
The example I always give is like Stephen Amell, who's he's on a show called Heels, which is a show about professional wrestling. He used to play he used to play Arrow on the show Arrow.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, it's this cheesy CW show, and he would have these moments of incredible acting, but nobody would really care because he's just got his abs were incredible, and nobody really like, you shouldn't be able to be that good if you are also that handsome.
Right.
So he's actually pulling these great moments out of this arguably not very good show, and people just kind of discount it because you're good looking. So, and I'm sure the same thing, and this will happen to women as well. But their roles tend to be more beauty related when they're younger. I don't know if we would necessarily say that's true now with how much activism television there is, with everything being made around some true story. But back in the day, Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street, that role only works if you're beautiful.
It's only believable if you're beautiful.
The character of Jordan Belfort that Leonardo DiCaprio portrays, that could have been, I mean, you look at that guy in real life, he isn't that good. He's a normal looking hedge
he
fund
looks
dude.
normal, yeah.
He is like, but you get Leo to play him, but he could have been played by a middle-aged actor and it would have worked just the same, because the gluttonous behavior is actually almost more objectionable when you see just like a dude where these women would never spend time with him if he looked like that. Leo, you're like, I mean, he's a good looking dude, they might spend time with him anyways.
Right.
But a less good looking dude, they're clearly doing it for the money
They
in
should have
that
cast
world.
Jonah Hill and been like,
Well,
look how much money this guy had. And
He was
all
in
these
that
things.
movie.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
He was in that movie.
Yeah.
He should have been in the lead role.
He
for
actually
sure.
went to the hospital.
Jordan.
He ended up in the hospital from snorting all the fake cocaine.
Cocaine, oh my
Like-
They
gosh.
were for real snorting fake cocaine.
They had to snort. It was like crushed high C or something like that. Or
Oh, no.
Snort anything, it's a
Like-
recipe for disaster.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Hitchcock would have the method he would do, where like the camera pans up just as you're about to do it, and then you hear the sound, but you don't actually see them do it.
Right.
There's a way around that, but it's a movie and it's R-rated, so they're like gluttonous. Just go
do
for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ended up in the hospital because of all the fake cocaine.
Yeah, that's not good.
Should have just snorted real cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, that would would have
That would have added
in
a
the
lot.
hospital for different reasons.
It would have added a certain urgency to his
Yes, it would
performance. Like, and I'm sure plenty of them like.
Get this take right, or we're going to overdose.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sure a certain amount of them, like in their trailers beforehand, had a little just for authenticity's sake.
I'm sure.
Just to make the character feel real.
Of course.
So I just thought that him having this problem, not being able to get roles because he's handsome, feels like it would be more of like a woman's problem, but that doesn't make sense. So I had to like work my way through that mentally.
So it sounds like he is going to grow into this. And I wanted to say before we go that the reason for all these bad movies is that they are in such an echo chamber. And I think that being in any echo chamber in any kind of industry is an issue because you're going to get to where no one challenges your bad ideas.
And that's
a dangerous place to be. Yep. You will fail if no one challenges your bad ideas.
And so, I mean, that's why a lot of at the studio level, it kind of doesn't matter because there's so much capital there now. It's almost like too big to fail. They can write it off as a loss in the next quarter. Like,
right.
And most of these movies end up being like, whether the movie does well or not, it's all brand synergy. And it's one of these movies can fail and they'll make their money back in toy sales if it markets to a certain department. So, but yes, they need people challenging them on a more regular basis. Otherwise, things are liable to go bad.
Yep.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.